Configuring access lists. So half of the battle is learning the theory and the rules and the ports and the way the commands are all put together, and then obviously how you apply them. And then the second part is actually doing the live configuration on routers. And this is where this presentation comes in. Standard access list, you'll start with the easy way or the easier way of doing it. We're looking at permitting or denying a source network or a source host. So fairly simple. So you see traffic coming into this router. The source is 172.16.1.1. The packet has obviously got a destination in and a port. However, the standard access list can't concern itself with these details, and it isn't designed to do that. It's just designed to look at the source. So if you wanted to deny a certain type of traffic coming from a certain source, then your standard access list wouldn't do the job. So we've got a network here, our router that we control on the far left, and we've got three different networks coming across the wide area network. The 172.16 is just a host on the network. We've got a 10.1 network range of addresses, and then we've got another host, 192.168.1.1. So it's just a little example. And say we want to configure a standard access list. We'd go into router config t and then access dash list, then the number, and all of the numbers need to match on the lines of our access list because they're all part of the same access list. We're permitting host 172.16.1.1, we're permitting the 192 host, and we're permitting the network 10.1.0.0. After that, if we apply that access list, the invisible command, the implicit denial, would deny all of the traffic. So extended access lists, we can look at source, destination, ports coming from or where they're going to, protocols and services such as ICMP, and ping is one of the services that uses ICMP. So syntax, just remember in your head you're looking at access list number, permit or deny, what type of service are you permitting or denying, and which port if applicable. So here's an example of an access list. Access list 101, what are we doing? We're denying the service is TCP, and then from and then to. From is an entire network. We could specify a host, but it's a network, the 10.1 network, and we're denying traffic from that network to host 172.30.1.1 if it equals telnet. You can actually type in port numbers in access lists, but the access lists generally on Cisco routers swap it to the name of the service. The next line, this is a different access list it looks like because we're configuring access list 100. You can do that, but obviously as I said earlier, you need to you're only allowed to have one access list per interface per direction. So this could be an access list for another part of the network. So we're permitting TCP traffic from the entire network 10.1 to host 172.30.1.1 equals FTP. The next access list, we're permitting all ICMP traffic from anywhere to anywhere. These are just illustrations, by the way. I'm not saying this is what you need to be applying to your network, because I just want you to practice the commands and see how they work together. So this time I've added three servers behind our network. The 172.20.1.1 is a mail server, 30.1.1 is a file server, and 172.30.1.1 is a web server. Looks like I've actually got the wrong address. It should have been 172.40.1 but that was a mistake on my part. So we'll look at our access list. So just bear in mind I just put the wrong IP address for that host. Access list 100, permit TCP host, TCP from host 172.16.1.1 to the host 172.20.1.1 equals SMTP. So we're allowing mail from the 172.16 host to the mail server, which stands to reason. Next line in the access list, we're permitting TCP from an entire range on the 10.1 network, and we're permitting it to the FTP host server if it's using the FTP port. The next line, we're permitting TCP from host 192.168.1.1 to the 172.30 host if it equals web traffic. So you can stop the slide for a moment, have a look at the lines of the config. Obviously the web server should have a different IP addressing, but the syntax would be exactly the same. Next access list, we're denying ICMP. So instead of TCP or UDP or anything else like that, we're denying ICMP. So any services that use ICMP, such as ping. From anywhere, we can type any, which stands for anywhere, to the 172.20 network. Next line, we're denying TCP from the 10 network to host 172.30.1.1 if they're trying to come in on the telnet port. Next access list, 102, permit TCP from anywhere to host 172.30.1.1 if it's equals FTP. The established keyword you can use on the end of an access list. What this means is it's looking for a response. In the three-way handshake, different flags are set on the packet when it goes out, when it returns, and then when it goes out again. The established flag means that the session was initiated from inside your network. So when you type establish, what it's looking for is it's going to let the traffic back in if you requested the connection to come in through FTP in this example. Named access lists, different syntax, a little bit of a pain really, but they're very useful, and of course you need to know them for the exam anyway. So we've got our same network, IP access dash list, and then we type extended or standard. If you typed a question mark there, it would give you the 2 or 3 choices. So extended or standard, and we have to give it a name. In this instance, I've given it the name block web. They are case sensitive, so when you apply it, you need to get the upper and lower case correct. It'll drop into named access list config prompt, and all we need to do is type permit or deny or whatever we want to do. In this instance, we're denying TCP from anywhere to anywhere on port 80. Applying access lists is a little bit of a pain. You can actually apply them to physical ports or interfaces such as your console port or your VTY ports. If you write access list 101 to apply it to an interface, you type the command IP access -group and then the number and then in or out. You can apply it to your telnet lines. If you're doing it to a line such as a console port or VTY lines, you type access-class. Don't know why you do that, but that's just the way the programming has been configured. If you're applying a named access list, then it's IP access -group and then the access list name and then in or out.